Empire Strikes Back. So The Empire Strikes Back is the sequel to the 1977 mega hit Star Wars. And in it, the Empire is super pissed off that the rebels blew up their Death Star. So Darth Vader's like, okay, this bastard Luke Skywalker, he's going down. The Empire is going to crush the rebellion. And this movie ups the stakes for everyone. It's got better characters, it's got better writing, it's got better special effects, it's got better everything. So the Rebel Alliance is hiding out on Hoth. It's an ice planet like Krypton in the original 1975 Superman. They've built a rebel base there, but of course the Empire is totally going to find them because they sent the probe droid down there. So right in the beginning of the movie, like the first 20 minutes, we already have a huge battle, the Battle of Hoth. The Empire's got their AT-AT walkers, and there's something I really love about the AT-ATs. They're probably one of my favorite vehicles in the entire Star Wars universe. They're just so big and massive, you almost forget that there are people inside that thing. I don't really have any Lego Star Wars sets. I mean, I used to, but they're gone now. But if I were to have one now, I would want the Lego AT-AT. And normally you would think, okay, big action scene in the movie, but the good guys are gonna win, right? Nope, not this time around. The Empire blows up that rebel base. Luckily, our main characters got out of there. Now, Luke in this movie, when we first meet him, he's starting to learn more and more about the Force. You know, when he's in the Wampa Cave, he's slowly reaching the lightsaber and it pops right into his hand. You know, he's getting there. And thanks to an apparition of Ben Kenobi that he saw on Hoth, he's now gonna go to the Dagobah system to find this Yoda, who's supposedly a Jedi Master. The same Jedi Master who trained Ben in the first place. And this is really cool because, and now I'm gonna compare it again to Lord of the Rings, this is like the Two Towers in that the whole, crew is gonna separate. You know how Frodo and Sam and Gollum are, taking the ring to Mount Doom, and Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli are all going to Rohan to deal with that shit? Same thing here, Luke's going on a side quest to go to Dagobah, and Han and Chewie and Leia and C-3PO are just trying to avoid the Empire throughout the entire movie. Both these storylines converge in the end, yeah, but it's just fun to watch these characters on their separate quests. And there's a romance developing between Han and Leia, which is kind of out of left field at first, because in the first Star Wars movie you think, oh, it's gonna be Luke and Leia because that's just how it would be. Again, nope, that's not how it's gonna be. And it's kind of funny to see Han just putting all the moves on Leia, and she's resisting at first, but she ultimately falls for him as well. And you can't help but be like, yeah, Han and Leia, that works. Meanwhile, Luke and R2-D2 are alone on Dagobah, the swamp planet. That's the planet in the Star Wars universe that I would want to visit the least. Get me away from there. But Luke's there because he wants to find Yoda. And suddenly you see this weird kind of frog-like creature. My impression is horrible, so I'm not gonna try. And this thing is just messing with him. He's being really annoying, he's messing with all his stuff. You don't learn until later that this thing is Yoda. And the cool thing here is that Yoda's training Luke in the Force now. He's making him lift up rocks with his mind while he's standing on his hands upside down. I love watching that. Yoda's talking about the Force like Ben was in the first movie. Life creates it, makes it grow, it surrounds us and binds us. Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. The reason I love this is because, again, it really makes you feel like if you really concentrated and tried and meditated a lot, you could use the Force if you really tried. Unfortunately, Luke is not taking all of this the best way. It's too much for him, he's getting whiny, he's like, this is impossible. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is where Yoda just like, oh, okay, you know what, I'll show you how it's done. And he lifts the X-Wing out from the swamp and the music's kicking on. That music is awesome. Luke's like, I don't believe it. And Yoda responds, that is why you fail. Some of the best dialogue ever. Jumping over to the Empire, we actually get to see some really cool stuff with Darth Vader in this movie. We find out that he actually answers to someone, the Emperor. You only get to see the Emperor in one scene, and even then it's just a hologram, but it's just really cool to see. And in this movie, John Williams introduced one of his most famous movie themes ever, the Imperial March. Bum 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 ba bum bum ba bum. And that theme is really cool until it's overplayed. I swear, every scene in this movie Darth Vader is in, that theme is just blasting. I'm just saying. And Darth Vader and the Empire, they're pursuing Han Solo and the crew, and he's sending all these bounty hunters after them, and one of those bounty hunters is the infamous Boba Fett. Now, everyone loves Boba Fett, but I don't really see what the big deal about him is. Don't hate, just bear with me on this. You don't really get to see Boba Fett do that much. All he really does is fire a few shots and say a few things. He's really just another bad guy. He's got a cool looking mask, I'll give him that. So as the movie's going along, it gets to the point where Han and the crew, they get to Cloud City on the planet Bespin, and there they meet Han's old friend Lando Calrissian. Now Lando's a really cool character. He's got that cool, suave feel about him, So this is where the crew's gonna fix the hyperdrive with the Falcon, and everything's going to be fine, but unfortunately, the Empire got there right before they did. And for some reason, you don't know why, they start torturing Han Solo. Why do they do this? Because Luke is going to see this happening in his head, and he's gonna say, okay, I gotta go help them. I gotta confront Vader. And that's exactly what happens. After some of the most infamous lines in movie history, I love you. I know. Han Solo is frozen in carbonite. The whole image of Han Solo frozen in carbonite, all like, that's a really famous image. It's on like phone cases and refrigerators. And when Luke gets there, he fights Vader, and this is one of the most famous scenes in movie history. And it's one of my favorite fights in movie history. Luke is like, okay, I'm gonna kill this guy. He is mine. I'm gonna just Vader's like, yeah, okay, whatever, you're nothing to me. The camera work, the oranges, the blues, everything about that scene is just perfection. And it ends, once again, in one of the most famous scenes ever made. Darth Vader cuts off Luke's hand, he's hanging on for dear life, and Darth Vader starts talking, he's all like,
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No, I am your father.
And right there, the audience was like, yeah, that was one of the biggest, most mind-boggling moments in cinema history right there for ya. And this is the end of the movie. Luke is rescued by Lando and Leia and Chewie and everyone in the Millennium Falcon. Their hyperdrive is finally fixed, they get away. Han Solo is still frozen in carbonite, he's taken away by the bounty hunter Boba Fett to God knows where. I mean, talk about your cliffhanger ending, no one here is happy by the end of this movie, not even Darth Vader because Luke got away. The movie ends, Luke gets a new hand, so he's fine, he's got a robotic hand now. His mind is still blown because of the big news Darth Vader just gave him. Yes, the Empire has struck back alright. Just like the first one, this is one of the greatest sci-fi movies ever made, and people have asked me, dude, the first one's your favorite? The Empire Strikes Back is the best one, right? I just gotta say, in my humble opinion, the first one is just a little easier to watch. The Empire Strikes Back does its job perfectly, but the first one is just more fun. It's all a matter of personal preference. But that being said, The Empire Strikes Back is one of the greatest sequels ever made. I say one of because there are other sequels out there that do their job just as well as The Empire Strikes Back. You can't deny that. So The Empire Strikes Back, I know you've seen it, so what is your favorite Darth Vader moment? You gotta have one. Whatever it is, go ahead and leave a comment.
And don't forget to subscribe.